Hey everybody, from Fed Joints to Beer Joints, it's Jack and GT back here. Something's brewing. Welcome back. GT, I'm here in Iowa. It's a cloudy day again and it's going to rain. Where the hell are you at anyway? Where are you?
I'm over at my tiny apartment, which I affectionately call the hovel. I have some things to take care of, and I have to leave from this side of town.
It definitely has the ambience of a hovel. You're very fortunate
Oh,
you can name it that.
thank, thank you. I'm glad you recognize.
Good. Hey, I want to start with a very important topic here. This last week, I did a piece on our channel about Social Security, and I want to talk about that real quick. I won't stay on it too long, but it's very important. For those of you who didn't see it, my Social Security, someone got into SSA.gov, the website, and changed my deposit account and was going to have my deposit moved to out in New Jersey someplace. Anyway, if you get a chance, you might want to view that. Um, it's very important. I'm also going to be I'm finishing a book, and we're not selling this book. This is a freebie, and it's important. There's going to be a section there about how to handle this and not get hooked up like I almost did. That should be available this coming week. It'd be a free download. Don't want a dime for that. But if you get a chance, before that comes up, go look at the video.
I see the other book in the background there. I thought we could do a shameless plug for another book you wrote, because I've been seeing a lot of stuff about the polygraph that they're testing federal workers now. They want to test everyone for leaks. And, you know,
Yeah.
this idiot over at Hegseth over at Department of Defense, you know, the one that's building a makeup room, and he's more worried about, you know, anybody saying anything about him than he is about the Department of Defense, it seems like to me. But anyways, I just thought maybe we could tell people about that, because it's also an important topic.
Yeah, it is. This is something here that has popped up, like GT said, and we do. I wrote this book here. I'm going to show this book up to you closer. It's called False Confessions. This guy right here is Doug Williams. Doug is deceased. Unfortunately, he died during COVID. But Doug was a former White House employee that left there, became a polygraph expert, and Oklahoma City was actually world-known polygraph expert. And he discovered the polygraph was he said, bullshit, didn't work. Turned out to be all bullshit. People have been put in prison from the polygraph. People have lost jobs from the polygraph. And actually, Doug was instrumental in getting a law passed where they can't use the polygraph in the private sector with employees unless the employee is dumb enough to agree to it. But the polygraph is supposed to be a lie detector. It doesn't do that at all. But the government has continued to use it and will continue to use it. They're the number one consumer of the polygraph in the entire world, and they're going to use it again now. The reason we bring this up is this book is in two parts. And if you have to take a polygraph, it's useful. And if you're never going to take a polygraph, it's useful because you need to know what the government's doing. And in here, you got the first part. It's about Doug's life and about the polygraph and how it was designed. Actually, designed by the guy who also came up with the idea of Wonder Woman. And I think it's the Lariat of Truth or something like that, the cartoon thing. And in the back of the book is actually Doug's manual that he wrote, how to sting the polygraph. And it's actually just tells you how to pass the polygraph test. Very simple. It's a process, very simple. I'm not here advocating you lie to them or do anything else, but if he can tell you in a manual how to pass the polygraph, how accurate can it be? Anyway, that book's available. If you want to purchase that one, that's on Amazon. This is my producer behind me here. As you can see him sitting in duress, so don't pay attention to him. But that book is available on Amazon if you'd like to buy it. So, what do you
Let
think?
me comment. Ghetto cat's all up in you. Yeah. Anyways,
This is Orpheus.
Jack,
That's his name.
oh, Orpheus. But Jack lived when Jack got out of prison. There's a little funny story behind it. When Jack got out of prison, he kind of lived in the hood, and he worked down at the local market for a while too. He's the only white guy in there. But anyways, a lot of the brothers in that Jack was friendly with. You know, somehow the cat got a name of Ghetto Cat. So that's that's actually all I know. I didn't know I forgot his name was Orpheus. I just know it was
Yeah.
Ghetto
Well, no one
Cat.
knows
But
him as that. Everybody calls him the Ghetto Cat, but he doesn't
yeah,
like. The guys that named him, that's when he came. Anyway,
uh,
so we're talking about the polygraph, and they're using the government detect liars, and I don't know how in the hell you think that's going to work. But GT, you kind of brought something the other day, and you kind of got something in your craw, and I got to let you go off and tell about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, did I? My personal lie detector, bullshit detector, whatever you want to call it, just like everyone else, it's going off bad. I'm getting so pissed about our government, and I don't pick any sides on this because they're both lying sacks of shit. They lie to us constantly. What really got me going was yesterday. I watched what's that? Oh, the cabinet parts of it, the cabinet meeting, and this is just a suck fest. This is so embarrassing. People know about it. People comment about it. It Trump makes all of his cabinet go around, and one at a time he points them out, and they suck him off right there and tell him how wonderful he is, and he sits there with his face just eating it up, and it's like it's starting one of the Hegseth. I won't even talk about him; he's a joke. And then this guy Howard Lutnick, I think he's commerce. It's pitiful, and he's telling me how wonderful everything is, and how these tariffs are the best thing that's ever happened. And I'm sitting there, and I'm going, "Fuck, man! Don't lie to me. Don't lie to all of us." And and I think that there's a lot of good things, targeted tariffs, and that. I think we've been getting fucked by a lot of people for a long time, and I agree with them, but I don't agree with the ham-fisted way that they were implemented, and and the stock market and the bond market has spoken on this. I mean, if you want the truth, follow the money. That's where you're going to find truth. People are voting with their pocketbooks. Traders are, and people have voted a resounding look. The way these tariffs have been implemented are a bad business. Do we need to renegotiate our trade deals? Yeah. Was it handled properly? No. I would much rather they tell me, hey, look, we brought out these tariffs, and they're working in some ways, but we realize we might have brought them out. We've had to change our mind numerous times, and so it's kind of a work in progress, but long term, they're going to work. Well, I can handle that truth, Jack. You can handle that truth. The American people can all handle that truth, because I believe down the road, we got to have a little bit more fair trade with us. But this guy just sits there and lies to us and tells us how wonderful they are, and how wonderful everything is, when it's bullshit. Everything isn't wonderful. Like I said, the markets have spoke on it. It's like they get around to this Pam Bondi, our Attorney General, and she's just definitely, I would say she was deep throating them, but everybody, according to Stormy Daniels, he's only got a little piece, so she wouldn't have to do that. But she's sitting there saying, and she brought up great things since Trump took over. And so far this year, they've interdicted 22 million fentanyl pills and 4,400 kilos of fentanyl. That's fucking great. That's them were good stats. That's a hideous drug. Now, that drug wasn't around when I was involved in drugs, using and selling them. If it was, I would be dead. I would have overdosed and died. They put it in everything. They put it in Molly. They put it in Xanax. And fake counterfeit prescription drugs. So it is definitely a menace to our country. And so I love that she's saying that. And then she steps out and says, President Trump has personally saved the lives of 258 million Americans so far. Well, fuck you. 258 million people weren't going to die since he took office if they didn't interdict this drug. Don't lie. I'm so sick of being lied to. Instead of taking credit for a good thing, she, just so she can blow him, she sits there and lies and makes it sound like, oh, President Trump, you saved so many American lives. I'll bet he saved a few thousand lives. I bet. I know he did. Because that's a heinous drug. But don't fucking lie. And I'm not trying to say this is just him. We got our left leaning guys sitting there talking about this guy Obrejo Garcia, this wonderful family and father, who of course has some spousal abuse charges, who's in the country illegally. But he was in a sanctuary state, so they didn't deport him, and he's Mr. Wonderful, and the reason he had an order from a judge saying, "Hey, don't you can't deport him because his life will be in danger by rival gangs." Well, rival gangs, but wait, he's not a gang member. You told me. How could that rival gangs want to kill this guy when he wasn't a gang member? He was a loving father. What the fuck's up with that? Really. So we're just supposed to buy this bullshit, and man, and it irritates me. And,
It is. It goes up. You look back, and I go back to the previous administration. But you and I'd had these discussions before. At the end of Biden's time, it's like this guy's not even there. He's like incoherent, and they're going his staff, his wife leading the way to, oh no, he's on top of things. He knows what's going on. He's there. He's involved in every decision. And now they're all same people other than his wife. Same people have come out and said, man, he had no idea what was going on. So they lied to us, right? And you could see it. And I think the problem with the lies is not just because we always talk about people always, the comeback is, well, all politicians lie. Not like this. Not like the previous administration and this administration over very important things, and it's outlandish. Example, the $1.90 gasoline or whatever it is. Where the hell is that at? And everybody goes, where is it? It's amazing.
Jack, it's funny you touch on that because I go in the market. I was in the market yesterday and I bought eggs, and I buy these organic cage-free eggs. And last week they were $8, and this week they were $7. And hey, that's great. They went down $1. I don't know what is that, 12, 13, 12. I don't know what it is, 12% or whatever. They went down, and hey, egg prices are coming down. But no, I hear this Stephen Miller. I don't know if any of you are familiar with him. He's one of Trump's architects of his immigration policies. But he was interviewed yesterday, and he's saying, well, egg prices are down 80%. And I'm sitting there going, well, I was just in the market. I was just in the market, and they did go down. And instead of saying, hey, egg prices are coming down slowly, they're going to continue to come down. Hey, great. That's a good thing. Don't tell me it was 80%. I know better. I know gas isn't coming down because a few months ago, gas was $4.09. I buy gas all the time. It's running around $4.40, $4.50. And oil prices have gone down. I think crude's like $59 a barrel, but it hasn't because of the kind of oil we produce and stuff. The vagaries of oil production, of gas production, refining, our prices are still high. But that being said, gas prices aren't down. Oil prices are down, but gas prices aren't. Hey, we're bringing oil prices down. Gas prices will be following soon. Oh, hey, that's great. That's good news. You guys are on the right track. No, instead you fucking lied to me. It's just like Biden, The Walking Dead. He sat there. Ever since Afghanistan, what a shit show that was. Our withdrawal from Afghanistan. He's sitting there telling me that everything went according to plan and went good. Really? How about these motherfuckers that were hanging on the landing gear of planes, of jets, taking off from the city airport there, falling off and falling to the ground to their death? That's that reminded me of Saigon, the people hanging on the helicopter. Jack, you were on the helicopter skids when the last flights out of Saigon. It was a shit show. And instead of saying, hey, we made a few mistakes. We probably should have kept Bagram Air Force Base open and did all of our evacuations through there. No. Oh no, everything went perfect. I saw it with my own eyes that it didn't go good. They had that bomb that killed a bunch of our servicemen that right outside the wall there. No, it didn't go good. But they just lied to us. But then again, what's funny about Biden is I never really believed in him that much. A lot of his policies and that. He's a little bit on the left. But that being said, I thought he was a good man. And I thought, hey, he's an honorable man. And I was tired after the first Trump thing, I was kind of tired of being lied to then, over COVID and everything, and Fauci lying, everybody lying. And so I'm thinking, well, at least Biden's an honorable guy. And me and you talked about this when he got elected. We had hopes that he would do the right thing. But the thing that turned me on this dude was when I heard he had a grandchild that his son conceived with, I think it was a stripper during his coke days. Hey, shit happens. But that's still your grandkid. And he did not acknowledge that grandchild until it came out in the media, and he took a lot of shit. And right then I knew he had a really, really bad integrity problem. Uh, me and you talked about this. Good people do not deny, their grandchildren because it's convenient to do so. You can't do that, and so that's when I started questioning how his honor. I always questioned his policies, but his honor, which he has none, obviously, or he wouldn't have done this. And then all of a sudden, he wants to claim her when it gets out to the media, and they all start talking about it. But this lying thing, it's got to stop, man.
Well, the thing is, I think is ironic about it is how we condone it. But if you think about this, it is a federal crime to lie to the FBI, but it's the time to pass the day to lie to the American public. And they say, well, if you're lying to the FBI, you're doing it to protect yourself or to profit. What the hell are these people doing? It's the
Yeah.
same thing. It's the exact same thing. And you talk about the polygraph. This is something that gets me is so these people, the politicians basically, and their appointees want to bring the polygraph in to go after all the employees. We're going to show you who's leaking, we're going after the liars. I think what would happen if they said you're going to run for office and get elected before you step into the White House or Senate or Congress, you got to take a polygraph. If they thought it worked, what would happen to them? They'd outlaw that thing. They wouldn't want that polygraph. Can you
Oh
imagine?
yes.
Can you imagine? Oh my God! They oh no, we're not doing this. That's not
No.
gonna. What gets me about them is not just the lying, but it's what's good for them is not for us. And the double, and I hate the term double standard. It's beat to death. But there's no truer double standard about truth in this country. You go to any court in the world, and you lie in court to that judge, you're in trouble. Lie to the FBI, you're in trouble. Don't lie to the IRS, you're in trouble. We're going to lie to you, and you got to take it. And no matter how outlandish it is, you got to clap. And really.
And it's not ending. I drink a little of the Trump Kool-Aid. I don't gulp it down. I like I said, I agree with him and stuff. But when he sits there and lies to him, some of these people sit there. Well, you have discussions with people, and they say no, this is the truth. When it's just obvious. You got Clinton. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, and you got Trump. Oh no, I didn't smash Stormy Daniels. When she's sitting there getting on TV saying, well, he's got a little wiener with a big mushroom head. And his wife, Melania's going, well, how'd she know that, Donald? And that's why she doesn't hang with him. I mean, we're just, our politicians are the biggest liars in the world. And is that what we're stuck with? How depressing.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. People say this, you got how many 100 million people in this country, and the best we can come up with. There was a time in life, and we're old enough to remember back when, and I was younger, you and I have talked about this before, my granddad, I remember back when John Kennedy, I was in kindergarten, John Kennedy was assassinated, and it was a devastating time. And as a little kid, hell, I didn't even know what was going on. I barely knew what a president was. But I remember everybody crying, my aunts, my mom, my grandmother, all the people. And I asked my grandpa, and he explained to me, and he was very good at explaining things. I said, well, if he's dead, what happens now? What do we do? He goes, you don't have to worry about that. He says, he's gone, but there's always a good person to step in that place and take care of things. And there always will be. And if my grandpa's here today, he'd go, man, I was wrong on that deal, because I have felt during the last 3 elections, it's been the saddest elections in the history of this country. And you can go all the way back in history, to Millard Fillmore and all of them. Those were better elections than Hillary versus Trump and Biden versus Trump and Harris versus Trump. It is freaking sad. And this is the best we could do. And then people sit around like seals clapping, both sides. It's no different than the left coming in and telling us that the most important issue in this country is a man or a guy or a boy who wants to cut his penis off and play girls basketball. That's the most important issue. It's not an important issue. It's a bizarre thing, and it's not the most important issue, but they have decided it is. And by God, you better accept it. That's all. You have no choice. So it's not just a lying. it's these strange demands they have that we have to adhere to their philosophy.
That's a 80-20 issue you just brought up. I play sports, you play sports, and let's face it, man, guys are stronger, faster, can jump higher than women, and it's not derogatory. It's it's biology. It's just the way it is, and you look at the record books if you don't believe me. There's two sets of records for a reason. There's the men's and the women's, and they're different. Everything. Like Caitlin Clark, man, that's your girl. Jackson, Iowa, Hawkeye fan. Let me tell you, if you're from Iowa people are crazy sports fans, but they don't have a pro team, so they're Iowa fans. So Caitlin Clark is a goddess there. But I gotta admit, she does a lot of good stuff in the community. But let's face it, if you put her in a game, with LeBron and the boys, she's not getting a point. Well, why? She's great. Now she might win a 3-point contest because that's not athleticism. It is athleticism, but it's skill. And women can be just as skillful. It's just the strength and athleticism isn't the same. So we got these people telling us, oh no, it's okay. Well, no, and you're right about they expect us to believe, go along with him.
You brought some good points up there, and yeah, Caitlin Clark is she to me she's a freak of nature. She's amazing.
Yeah,
But like you said, if Michael Jordan, had his surgery and had his manhood removed and played in the WNBA, he'd average about 600 points a game, and that's just
yeah,
how it is.
exactly.
On the other hand, that as you know, I have 4 daughters and 2 stepdaughters. I've been an advocate of women moving ahead my entire life. I believe that women should be in the White House. I believe women should be president because I think women don't have the knee-jerk reaction, and I'm gonna come out and say it. They don't worry about the big swinging dick. They think things through better than men do. I think, for the most part, they're more intelligent, and somehow they can deliver babies. And most guys, if you had to deliver a baby, they'd crawl up and ball up in a fetal themselves and cry themselves to death. And women are the most important person in most guys' life. The man, his mom, is generally the most important person in their life.
Mom or the wife.
Yeah, and then what? And that's it. And so women really can run the show. The problem is they haven't got someone because they've still let the guys bloviate and run the damn thing. But athletically, the physical part, that doesn't match up. And I'm surprised that there's not more women who say, why? First of all, if you got a woman who's a Caitlin Clark or pick any star you want to, Nadia Comaneci, Chinium, who you want to say, setting all these records, these superstars, and you want to ruin it artificially by some dude coming in and breaking the record? I mean, really? Come on, man. That's so ridiculous when women are doing so many other things that are unbelievably great. Focus on that. But the upper left says no, and by God, you're going to accept this.
Yeah,
No.
and the hubris of them thinking that you just don't. Their whole thing is you just don't understand because they went to college. I didn't even finish high school, so they're going to tell me that I just don't understand. I'm an idiot. Well, I do understand, kind of, and that's the left's problem is they just treat us like we're all dummies. I don't understand how they take points like this. I don't expect how they expect to win on it, and this whole trans thing, man. Why in the world would you let a little kid that's 7 or 8 year old maybe decide that if they're Johnny and they want to be Joanne, they're not ready to make that decision? Don't encourage it. Just act like they didn't say it and see if they come to that conclusion it was a passing fad. Don't put them on testosterone blockers and fuck their life up forever. And how people justify this, and basically it goes back to the lying thing. They lie and distort facts, and try to twist untruths. Dude, I don't know. I used to read Scientific American in prison. I subscribed to it, and there's a lot of great stuff on physics and biology. I mean, these are some smart people in there, but they're taking the stand that biological birth is it's not all, it's subjective, kind of. It's like people put their societal pressures on it. And I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson arguing this point on Bill Maher. Well, yeah, there is society. No, you're either a boy or a girl. You got a piece or you don't. you can change later in life when you get older and you think, God, I feel more like a girl. Well, that's fine, when you want to do this. But at birth, unless you're a tiny, tiny percent of hermaphroditism or whatever it's called, you're one or the other. And the birth certificate shouldn't have room for anything else. There shouldn't be a non-binary, whatever you want to call it. And it's an 80-20 issue, and yet it's still an issue, and it might have got Donald Trump elected.
Well, yeah. Well, I think it probably did. The going back to the overall government thing, and we go back to like when we were in prison. It's amazed me since that time, that 10 years. I look back, and we both went through some riots, uh, but that would end it. You know what I mean? Let's say you had, well,
Yeah.
example, we had the blacks and the Southsiders. They were fake Serranos. We went through that one. Uh, and that blew up, and it settles it. And I went to Latuna. I saw some there, and the same thing. You have borders there. Don't cross that border because you have to answer for it. And you have diverse groups that think totally different, but they don't spend their whole time advocating their way and trying to make you believe you got to believe their way and stuff. There's a respect in that. You can call it segregation if you want, but that respect level in prison is so much higher than out here in society. I am amazed how disrespectful people are. And maybe I didn't notice it before I went in, but I think it's escalated. And every day it seems like it's more and more and more. It's like if you're an idiot if you don't believe the left, and you're a traitor, no good scumbag if you don't follow Donald Trump. And it's just like, where did this come from? People say it can't get any worse. We're so divided. Well, like I said before, we had a little thing one time called the Civil War, and it got pretty bad then. Uh, but the difference in the Civil War, I believe in it now, is the Civil War was actually based on truth, not lies. The South wanted to secede for financial reasons, and they also wanted slavery. The North wanted to keep them and didn't want slavery because they had industry here up in the North. Neither side was lying. That was their that was their belief, and it ended up in war. If you had a civil war now, they'd be fighting for lies. Both sides
Yeah.
would be fighting for lies, and people would die for bullshit. You know,
I never thought of that, Jack. That's a great point. That the Civil War was fought basically for business. It really was. The South had their idea of what business, how profitable business should run, and the North had their idea. And you're right, man. They didn't fight over lies. They fought over philosophical differences. And right now, if we fought, we would be fighting over lies. And we're back to the quit fucking lying to us. Say your point, listen to the other sides, and say, no, ours is better, but then prove it to me. It's kind of sad. It's got there, but hopefully it'll get better.
I'm hoping it gets better too, but it's hard. I think it will. I do believe it will, because I'm going to adhere to my granddad's thing. Maybe we just had a sabbatical from reality here, and there are some good people in the wings. They haven't popped out, and I believe on both sides they do. I'll say this in closing. There was a time that I believed, and I'm an old Republican, and you're a Democrat.
Yeah.
And there was a time where, and I think you'd agree with this, where we had candidates running against candidates from your thing. And in the end, I always felt, well, I don't agree with those people, but I think, you know what, the country's still in good hands if they win. We're going to be okay. And you move on. And they would congratulate each other, and they would kind of try and work together and stuff.
Yeah.
And you can't do that when you have radicals on one side and a cartoon character on the other side. I don't know. And no one, and I defy anyone to show me what either side's doing for the general American public that's positive. Show me, write it down, and give it to me. I'd like to see it. Neither side. And that's
not happening.
That's the sad part. Well, about time to kick it off here. Going to close out again. Don't forget, check that Social Security thing out. And if you, I think it's an important thing. And I mean, it happened to me. This is not what might happen. They almost stole my Social Security. I can show you the proof right on the screen. The book should be coming out another week. It'll be a freebie. We'll be able to download it here for free. We'll talk about that more. Also, forget this right here. If you get a chance, False Confessions about the polygraph. If you have to take one, it's interesting. If you don't have to, you should know what the government's planning on doing. I'm not saying good or bad. You decide. You got anything to close it here you want to go through, GT, or before
No, next week, next week we're going to be over at where I have my beer brewed, Evans Brewing in Corona. We're going to talk to my boy Scott. I love Scott, and he's going to tell us some things how the tariffs and that are affecting aluminum cans, the beer business in general. And his family actually is in the aluminum business, so he has a little thing, and he's a Trumpy. He sucks down that Kool-Aid, and I love talking to him. Anyways, come check out our episode next week.
Okay, guys. Thanks for stopping by. It's Jack GT here from Fed Joints to Beer Joints, because something is always brewing. See you next week.